Time to elevate.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Running on Empty. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tony.
And we're running on empty. And we're going to continue our music series this episode with one of our favorite artists. Again, talking about some great music here, Tony. But we're going to actually move on to the song Respect, but not necessarily exactly how you're thinking about it. So let's talk about it, Tony.
We are talking about two of our favorite artists, actually. The great Otis Redding, the soul star, who I believe originally wrote the song Respect.
Yes, he did.
And released it in 1965.
65.
And, his version was somewhat known, but it didn't become a blockbuster hit until the great Aretha Franklin did it in 1967. She actually recorded it on Valentine's Day in 1967. Then it was released in April of that year. And of course, Aretha's version is highly regarded as the definitive version of the song. In fact, many people don't even know that there was an original. But we'll start off with Otis Redding. And he was such an important artist. I mean, he was from Macon, Georgia, and he had this just spectacular voice.
Oh yeah.
And maybe what he was most known for was in 1967 during the so-called Summer of Love, he played at the Monterey Pop Festival, where you had bands like the Jefferson Airplane and Jimi Hendrix and Canned Heat and Eric Burdon and Ravi Shankar doing the Indian sitar music.
Oh yeah.
And many people believe, and the Monterey Pop Festival was kind of like the precursor of Woodstock,
right? And
a lot of people really believe that Otis Redding stole the show. That his performance at Monterey was so electrifying and so really unexpected, because it was it was like a hippie festival,
right?
And he gets up there and he does a version, I guess it was an old Sam Cooke song named Shake.
Yeah.
And he absolutely blew everybody away. Awesome. And then he did some slower soul tunes. And of course, Otis Redding was always surrounded by those great, I guess they were called Stax musicians, people like Steve Cropper, the great guitar player, and so on. And when he died, tragically, I guess it was 1967, I guess, right?
December 1967.
December of 1967, and he had just done a show in Cleveland, and my understanding is that they were flying in Otis Redding's private plane, and this was the first time that private plane was being used, and it went down over Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
he was going to do a gig in Madison. Yeah, and what? And you found that only the tuba player survived.
Oh, that was the trumpet player.
Player.
Everybody passed away except for one person. The trumpet player survived that. He was beat up, but he survived. But sadly, a lot of artists have that same Wisconsin connection, if you will. But it does not diminish any of the music that he has ever done.
Yeah, let's listen to Otis Redding's original Respect. And what we're going to find is that in Otis's version, it's kind of like, well, how would you describe it, Matt? It's kind of like almost like a traditional theme, right? Of the guy, expecting to be respected by his partner.
Yeah, I mean, he's out working, he's busting his butt. He wants, he comes home from work, he just wants a little respect. So the meaning of the song is completely different in the original version. So let's take a listen and let us know what you think about this.
All I'm asking for a little respect when I come home.
see now. When I listen to this song, I always want to go to the Aretha Franklin version, which we'll be doing a bit. But I like, because this is a common theme in a lot of like R&B and blues tunes. Especially at that time. I mean, there's, they talked about real life experiences and what they were actually going through. So I'll even jump to, forward to somebody like Buddy Guy, who's got an album called Damn Right I Got the Blues, and he's got a song in there called 5 Long Years. And one of the lines in there is, Lord, I worked 5 long years for one woman. She had the nerve to kick me out. And as the song goes on, it keeps escalating it. And the guitar plays the anger that's building up, in the song. In this particular one, this is just a cool, like, party tune. I mean, like, it's a dance tune and everything else, but the message is definitely strong in that, but not Aretha Franklin's message.
Yeah, and of course, really, we talked in our last episode. We talked about Marvin Gaye as one of the great male soul singers. You got Marvin Gaye and of course James Brown, the godfather of soul, and Otis Redding in his short life was called the Prince of Soul.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, and we can hear this, right? He just the voice is absolutely amazing, right? And for that time period, it was such a breakthrough because Black artists, I think by 1965, many people were thinking mostly of Motown, and of course there were some really great Motown singers, right? Marvin Gaye, of course, one of them. Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder,
Ray Charles.
But then you get this with Otis Redding, and it's just like a forceful performance. But when we get to Aretha's version, which is so amazing, I was reading. Well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about Aretha Franklin. She was born in Memphis, but when she was very, very young, the family moved first to Buffalo, New York, and then to Detroit, where she spent many years because her father was a reverend, like a contemporary of Martin Luther King.
Sure.
The Reverend C.L. Franklin. And she ended up singing in the choir, did gospel and so on. And I read that Aretha Franklin herself said about the song Respect, she said it was the need of the nation, the need of the average man and woman in the street, the businessman, the mother, the fireman, the teacher. Everyone wanted respect.
Yeah.
Right. And so she saw herself singing for everyone who in that time was demanding dignity and respect.
Yeah.
And of course, she ends up just recording this just amazing version. I mean, the vocal register, right? Those high notes that she's hitting. Yeah,
that hadn't been done before. I mean, that's I'm trying to think. I used to play that song a lot as a DJ, and when I was playing as a DJ way back when, I still didn't know about the Otis Redding version.
Right.
That came a lot later. So not necessarily knowing that the lyrics were changed, although she did keep the TCB in there, the taking care of business.
Taking care of business.
But I think she made it more of a universsul anthem.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he expected that this is what was going to happen with the song, but she really turned it into an anthem, like and I would say primarily more like a women's power.
Yeah. In fact, I looked back up the New York Times obit for Aretha when she passed away, which I guess would have been in 2018, I think. And they say, when Ms. Franklin sang Respect, the Otis Redding song that became her signature, it was never just about how a woman wanted to be greeted by a spouse coming home from work. It was a demand for equality and freedom and a harbinger of feminism carried by a voice that would accept nothing less.
Wow.
Right. And that awesome. really became Aretha Franklin, that this symbol of accepting nothing less, especially for women and for African Americans. And why don't we listen to the song, Matt?
Let's take a listen. still, again, I love Otis Redding's version, but I mean, that one, it's just iconic, absolutely iconic. And like when that song came on, like if you're playing it at a party or a wedding or anything like that, that one packs the floor. All the ladies jump on the floor because that's how it's perceived. But it really is, like you said, it's very universal in its presentation, actually.
Of course. And I saw a quote from Mary J. Blige, who's a great R&B singer in her own right, soul singer. And Mary J. Blige said, Aretha is a gift from God. When it comes to expressing yourself through song, there is no one who can touch her. She is the reason why women want to sing. And, I believe Rolling Stone magazine, at least once, maybe twice, has called her the greatest singer of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe. And she also, as a bit of trivia, she was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And that, I believe, was in 1987, which was right around the time when the Hall of Fame was opening. Otis Redding got inducted also into the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I think that was in 1989, long after his passing. But we should just ask our listeners, just like transport yourself back to 1967, which was a very contentious time.
It's the year I was born.
Yeah. Oh, yes, the year you were born, right?
Yeah.
And you had at that time so many different movements that were united in this call for freedom, and in the call for equality, in the call for dignity. And then this song, Aretha's version, it just so perfectly matched the needs of that moment.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It struck a chord. It resonated very, very loudly.
Yeah, and I don't want to be one of those old guys that puts down modern music, because I think that modern music is really great. I hate that. I hate when older guys just start, all the music today. But I don't want to be. I don't want to be that guy, and I will never be that guy. But having said that, it would be so great in this day and age to be able to put on top 40 radio and hear something like Respect.
Yeah,
you just don't get that, right? It's just songs that have that kind of, you used the word before, iconic.
Yeah. Right.
Songs that are going in. Okay, here we are, 1967. What are we now? 56 years away.
Sure.
And that song is as fresh now as it was in 67. And again, I'm not putting down any modern music. I love a lot of it. But I would ask people, what song, this would be a good topic for a show, Matt. What song that's being released in 2022 or 2023 in 57 years is still going to sound as fresh?
I think it's going to be a short show.
Seriously. Yeah, I mean, I think so many people now have gotten roped into like the electronic dance music kind of beat.
Yeah.
Which really assists in, there's a lot of evidence now that if you want millions of downloads on the streaming services, you have to like immediately get to the beat and keep people moving. And that kind of works against creativity.
Yeah, I don't want to bash today's music, right, but it seems to be more of a popularity contest than actually releasing a song with a message to it. And so instead of Aretha just taking Respect and doing the same song that he did and making it hers, the lyrics changed a little bit because she felt the need, something called to her that felt the need as well. So those were intentional and really good stylistic choices, because look at, like you said, 57 years later, it's still here. I don't see a lot of that. I mean, 57 years from now, I won't be here, but whoever's doing this show.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned, okay, so many people haven't realized that Respect was really a cover, right? It was Aretha Franklin doing, and I on my blog, every now and then I do a post called 10 Great Cover Tunes or something like that. I've turned it into a little series, and the kind of cover songs that I like are kind of like this, where the artist, in this case Aretha Franklin, kind of takes ownership of the song.
Yeah.
So very often a cover tune ends up sounding like a karaoke. Like you could tell that, like the artist covering the song really kind of likes the song and they want to do it, but they're not really taking artistic control of it.
Right.
And in this case, you've got Aretha that took it's almost like the song found its voice. Now, you said you had found a clip of Otis talking about this.
Yeah, it was actually at the a concert 2 months before he passed away. He was on stage and he had said that, I wrote this song and this girl kind of took it from me, but I'm going to still play it for you anyway. And we'll put that in the description below the link there. I also found the link of Aretha's first televised version of that song when it first came out, which is it's as good as the first time she did it as any time. It's kind of like the Whitney Houston song "I Will Always Love You," which was originally a Dolly Parton tune. The version that everybody hears on the radio, that was the rehearsal track.
Wow.
If you watch the David Foster documentary, that's the rehearsal track. She did it once, and they tried to sweeten it up and everything. And Clive Davis is like, "Nope, that's the one we're going to use," and that's the one that they used. So from the very first note she ever belted out on that, it became a hit. Absolutely.
Well, this has been so great talking about the Queen of Soul and the Prince of Soul.
Yeah.
All right. Aretha Franklin and Otis Redding, two of the all-time greats in the history of the world. And what a perfect way to continue our Black History Month celebration. I'm
privileged that I got to exist at a time that they did, That's pretty cool to know that, there is a major concert going up there right now. All these amazing artists. And we're going to continue this on another one. I know we've got, we're running out of days here in February, but I would like to continue a lot of this conversation and
sure.
Black history artists as well. So, all right. Well, I guess until next time, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in.
And stay elevated.
We'll see you next time.
Running on Empty with Matt and Tony.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Running on Empty. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tony.
And we're... Sorry. Oh, fuck. I haven't actually smoked anything yet today. So... we'll start that again. I don't know why that just got me as funny. Sorry.
It's like Dragnet. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
Just a fax, man.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. That'll end up on a blooper reel someday.
Yeah.